Hey there, I'm Christy Wilhelmi from Gardenerd, and today I wanted to share with you step-by-step instructions for how to transplant little tiny baby seedlings or sprouts from one place to another. There are a couple of times when this might become helpful. The first is if, let's say, you scattered a bunch of seeds and a whole bunch came up in one place and maybe in another space nothing came up. So rather than starting seeds all over again in that blank space, you can move some seedlings from the place where there's too many to where there is not. And the second way that you would utilize this technique is, let's say something came up volunteered in the pathway and you want to keep it, but it's in your way. So moving it to a raised bed or a container, someplace where it can thrive and grow, is going to be much better for that plant and for you. So let's first look at the tools you need in order to do this. Now, you can use a chopstick, a butter knife, a widger, or my personal favorite, an old metal plant stake. But the point is, something sharp and pointy that, well, it can be blunt, but something skinny and pointy is the tool of choice. All right, let's get up close and personal with a seedling and see how this is done. Here I have lettuces all planted in a row, but right here, one is missing, or it got eaten down. So I'm going to move one of these sprouts that are still very young and very small over to here so that this can grow. Before moving any seedlings from anywhere, you want to drill the hole where it's going to go. That's the most important thing because you're going to be using both hands to transplant. So drill your hole as deep as you can because roots are long, even at a small size, roots are very long. And it's best to water the area so that the soil doesn't collapse in on itself when you drill the hole. So that's a nice deep hole. I went down to the whole length of my finger. It's at least 3 inches. Now you're going to take your either chopsticks or butter knife or whatever, and you want to pick the seedling that you want to use. This one's not doing so hot, so I'm not going to keep it. But this one is pretty good looking. So not this one. This one's going to stay here, but this one is the one I want. You want to hold the leaf rather than the stem. So if you hold the stem, that can be the weakest point on the plant, but the leaf is going to be strong. Next, you're going to go in at a 45-degree angle underneath the root zone and just wiggle. And you're going to wiggle and slightly lift the seedling until it starts to break loose. And you'll hear it crackle and snap, but then here you go. You've got all these roots that are perfectly intact. I'm going to set it into the hole and try and get those roots to go straight down and then backfill as best I can. And then make sure that the others where you took it from compress the soil a little bit around that so that stays happy. It may seem antithetical to grab the leaf instead of the stem because it kind of feels like the leaf is weaker than the stem, but I promise you that's the way to go. You'll cause less damage to the seedling and everything will work out. Now, there are a couple of other things to know before you go. One, the timing for this is best if you do it at the end of the day, because when you transplant something in direct sunlight, it may not survive the rest of the day. Best to transplant at the end of the day, water it well, that's number 2. I usually water my transplants with kelp emulsion, and that helps ease transplant shock. And then it has overnight to start sending out new root connections and get established. The other thing that's important to know is they might take a couple of days to start anchoring and growing new roots. So they may look a little floppy. Keep watering them. Water them every day, and by the 2nd or 3rd day, you'll either see them perk up or they may start sending out new growth. Either way, give them time, be patient, pamper them a little bit, and they will treat you well in the end. Transplanting baby seedlings is a great way to save money and time because you're not wasting 2 weeks or 3 weeks on seeding new plants in new locations when you can just move them from one place to another. If you like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to find out when our next video comes online. Consider becoming a Patreon subscriber to support all the free stuff we do here at Gardenerd. And of course, you'll find information like this and much, much more on gardenerd.com and in my books, Gardening for Geeks, Grow Your Own Mini Fruit Garden, and read my novel, Garden Variety. Happy gardening!